All right, cool. You're all good?
Yeah, it works. Thank God.
Rihanna or Beyonce?
Is that for me?
Yeah, for my chat.
I'm gonna go with Beyonce.
There you go. Based. Let's do it.
Okay. Passed the first test.
For some are going to hate you for that take.
That's fine. There's no shortage of Monty haters. It's not like I do much, though.
Yeah, apparently. This is something I'm learning. I did not recognize that you were such a contentious character in the Twitch political world.
It fucking surprises me, too.
Well, what's that all about, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, a variety of reasons. I guess I just have one of those personalities that rubs people the wrong way.
So what do you think factors into that? Because you said a variety of reasons, so you might have an idea as to what some are.
I don't know. Someone was talking about my contentious, I guess, takes on trans people. I don't know.
Yeah, well, can you say for me right now, trans rights or human rights?
Yes, trans people are humans. Deserve the rights that humans get.
All right. So what are your contentious takes then?
I don't know. I think it's just because I joke around with CTV about his trans dinosaurs meme.
What's his trans dinosaurs meme?
Because there's this meme going around on the internet. I mean, it's like clipped to make it look extra terrible, right? But he goes around going the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. Okay, and he was using it as like an example to illustrate his point or something. But the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park are not really dinosaurs, right? They're similar, but not quite the same, right? And I was just like, you know what? In a way, you're kind of right, because like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, right? They're inspired by dinosaurs, but then human scientists, okay, basically filled in the gaps so it fits with the socially constructed idea of a dinosaur. Right, and then in subsequent Jurassic Park movies, they improved on this design, making it more violent, more aggressive, bigger, but all again socially constructed kind of values that humans have placed on dinosaurs, making them more dinosaur-y. But that's not what a dinosaur is. A dinosaur isn't what its function is to humans. A dinosaur is its own thing that had its own environment and stuff. Right.
Okay.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you see why people hear that as a yikesy take?
I mean, because they think I'm saying trans people are like orcs.
Trans women aren't real women. That's what that's. So do you think trans women are real women?
Okay, so do I think trans women are real women? I interact with them as if they are the concept of women that we all kind of understand.
Okay, right? When you say it like that, it sounds like you don't think that they're actually real women in terms of your own personal opinion. Though.
Okay. You know what? Push back on this, okay? But here's
sure.
Maybe this is my transphobic whatever, okay? But it seems to me that the word woman, okay, is a word that because a few concepts have been so tightly coupled traditionally, we kind of use them interchangeably for certain concepts, right? So if I want to
I'm not going to let that slide without you telling me what concepts though.
Okay, well, exactly.
Before I agree to certain concepts, yeah.
Right, exactly. So if you the idea of a woman that is that has a baby making equipment, okay? We call that woman, all right, but you could call it something like a gynogenic or gynomorphic, shape of female or something, right? And to describe, I guess, the physical characteristic. Okay, there's how someone interacts socially with you, with what we traditionally describe as feminine or womanly, right?
I would disagree in the sense that when I meet somebody on the street, I don't know their capacity for having a child.
Right. No, exactly. So if I meet someone so you meet someone in the street, okay, and they're femme presenting or something, I'm going to treat them as if they're a woman, because like for the basis, for all the values I need for a social interaction, like this works, like I have no reason to treat you otherwise here.
Same with a trans woman.
Right. Well, I'm talking about a trans woman. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
They're femme presenting, or they're whatever. Clearly in how they've chosen to present outwardly to the rest of society. Okay, they're going after this woman archetype, right? And I have no other reason than to treat them exactly like that, right?
Okay. But then does that make them women?
Yeah, for the purpose of our interaction, yes. In all the cases, I would call this person a woman, right?
I don't mean like to smoothen out the transaction. I mean, like, do you believe they're a woman?
I believe that they're I believe that they're a woman.
Not just like functionally a woman and like, okay, like we can treat them as women for this interaction. Like, do you believe they are as much of a woman as somebody who is born with XY chromosomes, has the capacity of birth, all of that stuff?
Well, again, it depends. Like, do I believe they fit all the all the relationships that other people might consider, woman? Okay, like I have no problem saying they're a woman.
I'll simplify the question.
Woman, treating them like a woman. Like, as far as I'm concerned,
are they as much of a woman as a trans? Is a trans woman as much of a woman as a cis woman?
Yes. I mean, I suppose.
Wait, why the suppose? That's the thing where people are going to be like, "Hey, listen to this Monty guy. Like, can't you just give me a firm yes?"
So. I guess so. I mean, yes. I'm trying to think. Like, clearly, there's like a different. Clearly, there's a difference if you know, like if you know all the, I guess, or all the, if you know other, like, dimensions to the person that they are, right? There's like a difference, and some of those differences that I would normally, I guess, classify as woman, but I have no reason to not.
What are those differences as you see it?
They're a woman. Well, I mean, as far as like, if someone considers, if uses the term woman to describe a baby making human or a baby gestating human, okay, then,
do you think that's how people normally use the word, though?
Some people use that word sometimes in some contexts.
What context and how common are they?
I don't know. When a man and a woman get together and love each other very much and blah, 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 baby comes out or something, right?
Yeah, but what I mean is I think in most cases, most people aren't categorizing somebody as a woman for their capacity for birth.
No, not in most cases. And for all the cases that I have an interaction with somebody, okay, I have no reason to categorize them as anything else but a woman.
But it sounds like for all the
interactions, for all the interactions that matter to our existence together, okay,
including sexual ones.
You can fulfill all the categories that are considered woman,
including sexual ones.
I mean, if the person's attractive, I suppose, yeah.
Okay, so then there is no difference between a cis woman and a trans woman.
Well, I mean, the difference there's clearly like physical difference, right?
There's physical differences in everybody, including women.
Right. There's a baby making equipment difference.
Well, same with some women. So a woman without ovaries is different.
Exactly. But if someone, okay, oh my God. All right, I'm just saying in those contexts.
Well, this is why I'm trying to help you understand why people are hearing you like not saying trans women are women, right?
Okay, these people, whatever, they're gonna hear whatever they're gonna want to hear. Between you and
I'm hearing it too, because like it sounds like what you're saying is like, well, in every meaningful scenario, I would treat them as a woman. But when you say that, it sounds like you're saying, but they're not actually.
Okay, they're all right. Yeah, all right. How do I put this?
And my argument is if you would treat them as much of a woman as a cis woman, then they're a woman.
Okay, well, I don't see in what way I'd treat them differently, honestly.
Okay, so do you agree then that they are a woman?
Yes, in the context that I have to interact with them, yes.
But not in reality. And like
there'll be some context where they don't fulfill, I guess, the feminine role or whatever, I guess.
But is the feminine role to birth? Because there are some women who don't fit that role, like cis women.
Yeah, there's some women who don't fit that role. I don't know. Like I said, I think the woman describes several several concepts, right?
Well, can we throw out birth then, since that one seems like it changes a lot for people?
Why throw it out? I'm just saying traditionally some people still use that for concepts like that or tied to that.
What are the scenarios in which we take out like the gender DSM equivalent and like when we have somebody in front of us, we go like, has boobs, has capacity for birth, has
What the
XY
well, sorry,
chromosomes.
what is this? Hold on. What does this like meticulous fucking listing and dividing the thing even matter? Like,
because you said there's several things, and so I said, well, can we throw out this one that doesn't seem to have bearing on it? And you said, well, no, it's like an amalgam of many things. So that's like the DSM in the sense that like when you have a mental disorder, you go through like, okay, people who are schizophrenic have 5 out of 7 of these. And it sounds like you want to compose a similar list for what would be like a real woman, quote unquote.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
All right, tell me what you're saying then. Clarify.
Well, I mean, I feel like I've said it, but now we're like going into like weird like splits of things that don't make sense to me.
Well, I'm trying to, because you said there are many things that we would use to determine like whether or not somebody is a woman. Birth being one of their capacity for birth being one of those things.
All right, hold on. So I guess from subjectively, okay, you use or someone uses the word woman to describe a person, right? And that person, I guess, from their perspective, fulfills, you know, some roles that they would describe as woman, right? Like I don't know, the person who sits in that part of the church, you know, for churches that divide men and women or something, or you know, that's the woman section or something, right? That's I guess a person that like, oh, you're a woman, you go sit over there, right? In this context. Like I'm using like a dumb example, but I mean, I'm just saying how you can use the same word to explain multiple, I guess, concepts, right? And one being like the biological sex of the person, one being like their socially presenting, you know, personality, their personality inside, their soul, all these things. Okay, people describe with the word woman, right? I could use different terms. I could use I could use gynomorph, gynogen, or something like that.
So here's where I disagree, though.
To describe the like the aspect or the relationship specifically, but we don't. We just say woman, right?
So I disagree in the sense that, or my nuance that I would add to this is that when somebody says woman, they don't mean this person can have a baby or this person has XY chromosomes. Or this person even has boobs, right? They're just saying.
Okay, go on.
They're just saying it seems to me that way based on what I expect from this person's bodily presentation. So then we would just have to say, in my opinion, that if we like are treating people the same way based on the way they like come across to us, right? And they all fit in within that umbrella of women. Then why would we ever say that trans women aren't women?
I'm not saying trans women aren't women.
Okay, so you agree trans women are women?
Trans women are women, yeah.
Okay,
I'm just saying it seems like this word describes an array of concepts, okay, that have been traditionally intertwined together, okay, or traditionally tightly coupled, okay. Some of them, okay, might not apply, all right, to or some of them, you know, depending on the relationship, might not apply. It doesn't. That's it.
So let me ask you.
Objectively, I'll just change my description. I'll just change my definition, or sorry, I'll let certain definitions of woman fall to the wayside. That's fine. It doesn't hurt me or anything, right? And that's it. It's not really a big deal. But you can see how, I mean, there's like, how do you say this? You know, like, all right.
So I would argue. Can I just kind of So I would argue that most of the things that we think we know about somebody from them being a woman are things that we kind of just like expect from the group woman, but it's not necessarily that like we would say that somebody isn't a woman for not having those things. And I would ask you, I suppose, what do you think we know about somebody, like know for certain about them? Like, let's say that I explain a person to you. I give them like they're 26 years old. They're from a low income neighborhood. They grew up in Boston. They are black and they're a woman. What do you think knowing that they're a woman tells you about them? I would argue nothing.
You know, in this context, I don't think it tells me anything more that I need to know about them. I mean,
so could all expressions of gender be valid under this, regardless of whether or not somebody is born into a certain body?
I guess so.
Okay, cool.
I guess so.
Yeah. All right. Well,
am I backpedaling? What the fuck is this? We can't discuss a thing like anyways, whatever.
Your chat saying you're backpedaling?
No, your chat is Chuck for to be specific.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of times people, well, I might be presenting this in a way that you've never had presented to you before. And I'm not going to take your answers as like you have an ulterior motive or something if you truly believe in those things. But that's why it's like, for me, it's like if we can't functionally, like, if there's functionally no difference, then why would we ever separate them? We would always say that a trans woman is a woman.
There are very few instances where I can't really think of anything concrete where I would have the need to express or to counter someone's like you know, they say like, oh you know, I'm a woman. Okay. Sounds great. It sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Do you like baseball? I hate baseball.
I mean, if that's your take and you're genuine in that, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that ultimately. I think the issue that they might have been hearing before was when you were saying like, well, yeah, like in every meaningful way, I would treat them as a woman. Because it sounds like in that you're adding a nuance that says like, but they're maybe not in every scenario. Right?
Do you agree do you agree there's a difference between what you would or what people traditionally say is woman and a trans woman? Why do I even have the prefix trans? Why is it even there?
Because they were assigned a different sex at birth than they identify with, or they were assigned a gender at birth that they don't identify with.
So there's like a different set of circumstances that surrounds that term, right? You use that term to describe a different set of circumstances to their womanhood, right?
Mm-hmm, but that doesn't meaningfully tell you anything about their body.
No, but
or like who they are.
But you do have a word. Okay, there is a common term to indicate a differentiation. Why is that even there then?
Because trans identities need to be valid, and otherwise the game just becomes passing, right? We need to recognize that trans identities exist in all bodies and not just ones that we accept societally to be women. And I don't think that just because somebody was born into the body that they were born into, we have a right to impose societal expectations on what they do or present that body like.
Right. So language being a reflection of our culture and society, okay, originally, used the word woman to describe several, specific concepts, okay, and now definition culturally or societally is changing, right?
In some cultures,
but
there is
the word's the same, but the concepts or the set of concepts that it describes, or at least the configuration of concepts that it describes, is changing.
So one thing I would say is that these concepts are always changing, and we're at a point in history where they are continuing to change. I would also say that that's a very Western perspective in terms of there are many notions of womanhood and what goes into womanliness across the world. And it's not always just what we see in terms of the Western male gaze, right? But that being said, like, you would find examples of women who might not traditionally tick all of the boxes of what that culture would consider a woman, even back in those times.
That's right.
And they would still be considered a woman, right? Or somebody who's like maybe more androgynous and tough to pin down. So people who are outside of those kinds of norms and expectation have always existed. And people who identify outside those norms and expectations have always existed. We're just moving towards an understanding that validates their identities now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. I don't negate that identity in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Okay, good. Little contentious, I guess, prelude.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually.
How do you feel if somebody? Right, I had a spicy. I don't want to turn it up a notch.
Oh, can you hold it? Can you hold it for 2 seconds? I'm gonna open this garage. And then we're really gonna talk. All right.
Okay, do your thing. All right, you ready? Or you want to light up your joint?
Yeah.
All right, light it up, because my question is brief, so I'll give you some time here, because I know it might take a second.
First things first, let's go.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, how do you feel if somebody identifies as a deer? Would you validate that identity?
Someone identifies as a deer. I mean, if we're here in person, okay, you know what? Truthfully, if we're in person, okay, you're a deer. I'm like, okay, I guess you're a deer. I don't know what that means in human form. Okay,
Sure.
because you're clearly
I would
in human
argue that
form
our language
to
is
me.
incapable of describing certain notions, and we would use certain terms to best describe that.
Right.
So maybe they have a sense of dearness, and that's what they feel, but that doesn't encapsulate, like the animalness doesn't encapsulate the gender
Sure,
aspect, but it's the
sure.
closest word.
And I suppose maybe if I hung out with them at length and they really exhibited like deer-like qualities and proclivities, maybe I would even go like, okay, I guess you're a fucking deer.
Would you have that same standard for a trans woman who might not be femme presenting to you, or for a non-binary person who might not be like androgynously presenting, that they have to present or show the signs of having that identity to be valid in it?
I suppose not. Because I understand that people who are, I guess, are trying to like cement their identity, okay, might be going through some kind of like adjustment or transition phase or like that. So I don't want to negate these things, but a deer, I guess a deer is outside of the norms of my expectation.
But we just argued a moment ago, but that nobody should be condemned to conform to the norms and societal expectations that we might have based on the body that they were born into.
And you don't have to around me. I'm not gonna fucking judge you for it. I'm just like, just give my internal mechanism some time to fucking cope with this new reality here.
Oh, I'm sure they would. But yeah, so you'd be like, all right, cool, I can drive with that.
Look, if you want to be called a deer, as long as you're not making trouble with me and we're working well together, fuck, you know what? If this lubricates our relationship, great.
There you go. Okay.
If it helps me to understand I guess, your processes, and I have to get in their head. What would a deer do in this situation? Maybe that gives me some insight. I don't know. Whatever information you give me is good, and I'm not going to invalidate your reality.
That's kind of how I feel. It's like we can't know what's going on in somebody's brain. And if we already can't know something about somebody for them being a woman or a man or non-binary, then they might as well, they could have any concept, right? How can I dictate what their concept could be at that point?
Right.
And why not validate their identity? Just, so that's how I feel.
I'm not here to impose my way of thinking on anybody.
Right. Okay? And especially when there's
literally the last thing I ever want to do.
Right. And especially when any gender expression would be okay to be included in any gender identity already, then we can just open that up and multiply that out to whatever people feel.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you're pro xenogender and you clarified that you're pro-trans. I like the honesty in the way that you speak. I think my chat is reacting to it a little bit because
don't worry about it.
Normally people are much more like, going to dig their heels in when they're encountering that type of questioning.
Well, look, don't get me wrong. Look, if someone says they're a deer and I meet them for 5 minutes, they say I'm a deer, all right? And they look like a human. We say, oh, hey, how's it going? And I go back home and I'm like, hey, did you see that person that said they were a deer? Yeah, what's up with that? And that would honestly be the reaction. Okay, but I mean, like, I wouldn't go up into this person's face and be like you're not a deer, you're a human. This is important to me that you know this. Yeah,
and I respect that you don't take for granted that you know what's going on in their head and how they're feeling. Like, you trust them to be the best representative of their inner subjective reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel as well.
Well, it's literally like whatever. I just tweeted that actually, but yeah, one thing I'm actually pretty consistent on is not imposing what I think is best on other people.
Okay, yeah,
and I mean, whatever. I call myself a libertarian for that, and then people shit on me for that title. But that's
right. That's how I feel too. It's like identity. Somebody just said in my chat, identity is messy, and I'm somebody who's as being in between races. It's been difficult my entire life to reconcile certain concepts that society holds and imposes on me based on my body, right, that I can't be in control of in any way.
Right.
Yeah. On that note, what do you think about transracialism then?
I thought we were going to talk about fucking schools, man.
You want to talk
All right.
about schools? We can do that.
Okay, let's do one last fucking what transracialism.
Can somebody identify as whatever race they want?
I mean, I'm not personally gonna have a problem with it.
This is an easy discussion right here.
I don't know what the I don't know I don't even know what the les enjeux, the fuck, I don't have the English word. Do you believe that? I don't know what the forces are at play for racialism, so I'm not going to speak to like someone's right to them.
Okay. All right, let's talk about schools.
All right, let's talk about schools. All right. All right. And actually, we're going to get into some of the same values, actually, I think, in this discussion.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, not a fan of the homeschooling, are you?
I just think that it's not. There's not enough oversight around it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And would you make it? I guess, mandatory to go to an institution?
I would just make it mandatory for there to be some kind of certification as to what the students are learning. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that education is not equipped to set students up for success today in the world. I think it's more vocational training than anything, and making sure that you like knowing where to categorize you in terms of like the echelon of society you fit into based on your way of interacting with the world and engaging with learning material. But yeah, so I think that schools at least prepare us for society better than I trust some random parents to.
Okay. I homeschool my son, or my wife homeschools my son. I do karate with him. I teach him karate and Legos and other things. But we decided, I sent 3 kids to public school, and they do well. They actually do well in public school, but they are gripped with anxiety. And the anxiety seems to be triggered by school. They've loaded them with way too much homework. And it's like go there 8 hours and then come back and do 6 hours of work, and they all cry about it. They hate it. Right. And that's it. They have immense they 2 of them are diagnosed, one with severe ADHD. I also have severe ADHD. She has the same kind of profile I do, with a little OCD, some anxiety mixed in there. Another one, dyslexia, dyscalculia, orthographia, right?
Yeah.
And slight ADD, right? And the schools are just completely unequipped to deal with this properly. Right. And it caused actually a lot of hardship in our family when we realized that one of our daughters, like we have I had 2 daughters that were very, very good in school, right? No problems at all. One that was struggling, and we're like, why? She has the same upbringing, everything, right? And after, it took us a while to like just get around it, but turns out she was dyslexic. Right. And she had trouble, and it made her feel stupid around her sisters. Right. She's like, why can't I get this? I don't understand. And that's it. So she'd go to school. So she'd go to school like 8 hours a day, come back. And then once we figured it out, I'm lucky. I do reasonably well in life. So, because the public resources to deal with this kind of thing are just so difficult to get. But it was my daughter. We went and just got it privately, and even privately, it's just to like help us understand like different strategies to like deal with this way of your brain working. So she would go to school, work her butt off, get tired with the ADD, right, and the dyslexia, which is taxing. And then my wife would basically teach her whole school day at night in the evening. And we have this with like a baby and two other preteens running around the house. I mean, this and a bunch of other apparently traumatic things just cascading on our family. It was very difficult. It was very, very difficult. And that's it. But so in this way, and then, yeah, and they all have kind of this performance anxiety too. And we're just telling them, look, it's not that important to get fucking 100 on the test here. Okay, I don't know what you're doing. You're killing yourself. Okay, staying up at night doing homework. Okay, you're all like anxious and stuff. What the hell's going on, right? And they've taught them things like, look, if you don't do exceedingly well in school, your whole life's going to be fucking ruined, or something. and you better get good grades. You're not going to get to this. You're not going to get to that. They're fucking paranoid, okay, about getting less than 95, and it's like I have to deprogram this at this point, and I hate school for that. I hate this school for how it made me feel when I was a kid, right? And that's it. And I didn't want to subject my son to it, so we decided to homeschool him.
Yeah, so I have a lot of reactions to that. I've just been kind of writing them down. First thing is, like, I think overall schools should be improved in resources for studies and kids with different, resources for kids with differences in their studies.
Right. What we would call neurodivergent. Well, I guess other
neurodivergent kids, or just kids with needs for individualized education plans, right? I think schools have a tough time doing that stuff. I work at a school. I don't know if you know that. I work at a independent K through 12 school. I teach technology to 1st through 8th graders. And a lot of schools have administrative flaws, even like not just in the public level, in the independent level, where people don't really know what's going on the ground level of the community. They don't have levels of they don't have like the granularity needed to understand what is the best thing to address the students' needs.
Right.
And in a lot of cases,
approaches,
right. And in a lot of cases, the students are forced to conform themselves to the expectations of the institution rather than the institution trying to conform themselves to the students to help them as best as possible. Right. That is something schools with the resources can do, but they're few and far between, and the districts that do that are even more few and far between. But overall, I think that mandated school is still better than allowing anybody to teach their kids whatever they deem necessary for life at home. I think there's distinct benefits that come from schooling, and not in every case. I'm not saying overall everyone should go to school. I just think if I'm making prescriptions and I'm legislating stuff, I think we have a higher success rate of kids being successful and leading lives that are prosperous coming from this education institution, even with its flaws, than homeschooling. And like in your circumstance, I think this was obviously the best move for your kid, because you know that they would have suffered more at the school that you were at, right? But some people make the decision to homeschool because they think that they're indoctrinating their kids into some communistic cult, right? And I don't think that there should be the same. Those two things should be in those two reasons for pulling a kid should be considered in the same realm. And when it comes to like things like what are the benefits of going to school, I think one of the things that's tough to replicate with homeschooling, no matter what you do, is the type of social interactions that they'll get at school, even the negative ones, because developing that vocabulary of people who you've interacted with and belief systems that you've interacted with is really important. And schools don't do a good enough job diversifying their communities as is with how they populate them. But homeschool kids have a tougher time in general of just like leading a life where they're integrating into society.
I wouldn't want the choice taken away from me. If I was forced to send my kid to an institution, I'd be very angry. I'd be very angry. Like, why are you doing this?
I think school choice needs to be improved. I think resources to get kids to the program that can best address their needs in their state is important. I think a coordination of doing more granular assessment. I think these things are what we need to do rather than right now, what you did is a Band-Aid, right? And I just think that the long-term solution is improving those systems so that everybody can benefit from them.
I agree with you. However, I don't think that a top down, if it's too distant from the actual on the ground people and their needs, I don't think that kind of planning is adequate or will ever be adequate.
I completely agree.
I don't think that level, even here, it's on the provincial level. I don't think they have the right visibility on what people need. And it's funny you say.
I agree, but that doesn't mean that I want to throw that system away. I just want to improve that system so it can address the needs of people better.
I don't want to throw that system away, but when people talk about you have to send your kids there, I'm like, no, I can't support that. I can't support that the way things are now. Okay. And if the argument is but if it becomes the best perfect system everywhere, right, then would you send their things there? I'm like, yeah. And I would also get a fucking unicorn,
Those eggs I hatched, I'll send them there. Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I don't necessarily feel like I'm saying like let's make utopia and then mandate it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or actually, that could be what I'm saying, but like I don't want to say to people that they should give up on school. I feel like in America, especially, there's a lot of people who, especially with like the Christian right, are going to look at what their school is teaching, formulate a conclusion about it, and decide that like their own like, you know, their own idea system and belief system is going to be more wholesome for this kid when they're teaching them that like the earth was created and Adam and Eve walked with the dinosaurs 6,000 years ago.
Right.
Or other, belief systems
then again, someone might look at me at what I'm doing and think the exact same thing, and subject me to the same kind of prejudices, right? And you know what? What's funny?
Wait, what? Why?
Well, because they think, oh, this person homeschools. Look at him with his fucking long hair and beard. They're homeschooling.
Oh, but if they're wrong about who you are and what you do, what does that matter?
Well, it matters if it matters if people judge you and give you problems and start legislating against you.
Oh, but you not think that there's an issue with homeschooling and people not being able to like do it adequately?
Oh, 100% there are people who don't fucking do it adequately and probably wrecking their kids. Okay.
All right. That's my apprehension in legislating it and like allowing people to do it better. So like, would you say that that's not a problem that we need to worry about?
I see institutions right now churning out anxious kids, okay, in large quantities. All right. Kids who don't know how to handle their...
Do you see it, or have you seen it borne out in research?
No. I see it on the ground with my kids, their friends, and other people going to other schools and stuff.
How do we know that level of anxiety that you perceive is significant enough to have a negative impact on their life unless they were homeschooled?
I don't. I just have my the only sample that I have that kind of visibility to make that kind of call on is my own family. All right, and maybe close relatives where we talk about this stuff.
Do you trust most people to make that evaluation even for their own families?
I don't know.
I don't know that I do.
I don't know. Most people, do I trust most people? No, but I don't trust most people for anything. I trust trust few people deeply, and I filter out the rest.
If you would admit, though, that you don't trust people to make that evaluation, then aren't we saying the same thing, that it's better for their kids to probably try to find a way to be accommodated within the system than trust these parents to evaluate the outcomes of homeschooling?
I wouldn't force it. Is it better? I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't see our culture as a whole. I don't see adults being fucking happy as fuck either. Okay, so somewhere, whatever they need, they're not fucking learning it at school either.
Well, so are adults not happy because they had an inadequate education?
I think a lot of adults might not be happy because they never took the time they were never educated to take care of themselves, to learn that they're different, and they need to create strategies around that. These are not the kind of philosophies that people are learning in school, I think, or at least in my personal anecdotal experience.
Right, and this is why I say I think we need to address the mental needs of the communities that are being brought through these institutions more.
I agree that we need to address them. I just don't think anybody with a high enough position has the right kind of visibility. And I don't.
Right, but then what it comes down to,
I'm just going to finish this thing.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what the solution would be. However, I'm using at least the liberty that I have to find a solution, okay, that fits my particular situation. And
here's the deal.
I literally put my own skin in the game here. All right. Okay. And if I have positive results or negative results, I will share my experience. Okay. That's all I can do.
The issue, though, is like, if you don't trust most people to make that evaluation for their own families, then like, why would we tell people it's probably better to take their kids out of school?
Why would we tell people it's probably better to take their kids out of school? I don't think I would tell anybody anything like that.
So it's better for their kids to stay in school.
I don't know the people you're talking about.
Well, you said earlier that you wouldn't trust people to make that evaluation about their family in
I
terms
know.
of whether
I
or not the
see. No.
outcomes of schooling will be negatively impactful on their lives due to the anxiety that they experience in the institution. So then I'm
Right.
just saying, then if
Okay,
that's the case, that you wouldn't trust them to make that evaluation, then would we should
Well-
probably never tell those people to take their kids out of school.
Well, hold on. No, I see some people who really should homeschool their kids. It would match their values. They're in it too deep, right? And those people, just because I know them well and I care about them, I would say and have said, you know what, you should consider taking your kid out and maybe homeschool them. I mean, or actually, no, actually, that's not what we said. We said this is what we're doing here for the reasons. Some of the reasons are very similar to yours, okay? And this is our experience. I don't tell people what they should or shouldn't do. Usually, I mean, I guess it was
I'm not asking you what you tell people to do, but more like what you think would be a good prescription, right? So we have a system where like maybe the kid is dealing with anxiety due to their studies, right? But we don't really know the impact of like the negative outcomes that the negative impact that will have on that person's life based on that like anxiety. We have no like information on that. And we wouldn't trust people to make that evaluation and assess what the negative impacts will be on their student. So if that's the case, then why would we say that it might ever be a good move for somebody to take their kid out of school?
Why would we say that it would be a good move for somebody to take their kid out of school?
Right. Wouldn't it always be better for them to keep their kid in school, because we don't know how negatively the anxiety is going to impact them. We don't know if we trust the parents to make that evaluation to determine how much the anxiety will impact them, and they're going to miss out on valuable social experiences and just life-forming coming of age moments and
they'll have
valuable experience. Yeah.
They'll have other experiences. Why is my evaluation of what is a good and bad experience have to trump, have to be the be all end all? I'm a fucking idiot.
It's not the be. Well, when you come up with like a system of like what a political system, we think about what we should do, right?
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, should we encourage parents to take their kids out of school if they're feeling this way, like that their kid is experiencing anxiety due to these things, or should we encourage them to keep them in school? And I think if we don't have the information to say that the negative impacts on their life will be significant enough that like they'll seriously suffer from staying in school, and we don't trust parents by and large to make that evaluation because they're not mental health professionals, they're not like doing all of the necessary work to determine that.
Okay, you know what? Then, as a general rule, I trust parents.
As a general rule, you trust parents based on what?
Based on I mean, this is biased, absolutely, because we hang out with a lot of, the kid has to do social stuff, right? So there are groups of homeschooling families, okay, that get together and have their kids play and have the social time as part of the curriculum, okay, as part of like several families setting a curriculum together. You can organize that, okay. Unfortunately, yes, this leaves the door open for what Christian fundamentalist assholes,
right?
Right. Okay. But it also leaves
like
the door
an
open.
Isolated situation where you don't trust other families and you only want to have control over your kids.
I know, but okay, that's the trade-off. That's going to exist, but also this pocket of the same number of people kind of networking and doing a somewhat decent job because they actually love and value their children.
Well, here's the deal, though. If we don't trust those people to assess whether or not the anxiety or whatever was making it difficult for that student to go to school in the first place, we don't trust them to assess that situation unbiasedly or fairly or adequately, right? Then we are left with a group of people who might just be making this decision for the wrong reasons for their kids. And because maybe some of those kids benefit, then we should support them doing that and continue to do that.
I would support,
because there's no control or oversight. But there's no control or oversight over this, right? So everyone could presumably do this, and then we could just have no standards for education, no people really checking in on how kids are doing or whether or not they're getting the skills that they need to survive and thrive in the world.
Yeah, I would give up. Hold on. Yeah, I would trade the possibility, or actually the probability of that happening, okay, for the option to find a better way.
So your belief in your ability to assess the needs of your family and therefore a small pocket of other people who homeschool their kids, your belief in the positive outcomes for those students, which are an unknown percentage of this population because none of us are capable of making those assessments, you trust that more than the outcomes of them going to school for all of that population who gets homeschooled.
Do I trust that? Do I trust that more? I trust. Hold on. It's not that I trust it more. Oh, hold on. I trust myself, but that's a delusion, right? Or I trust myself in my small circle, but that's honestly a self-serving delusion. Okay. I think it's the roll of the dice, and I think the important thing is that I put the risk I'm taking is not with everybody else, but with my own, with the outcome of the people that I love, right? I will have to answer to them. They'll have to take care of me when I'm old or not, maybe. So maybe I better do a good job, right? And that's it. And I'll answer to them.
The issue there, though, is you're admitting that you're biased and you don't have the capability of making this decision. So you're admitting that this system that you're recommending is one where people can just choose whatever they want to do based on their own bias. And I don't think that system is going to lead to better outcomes than one that we have metrics on and one that we have oversight over and influence over.
Okay. This is why I don't make prescriptions.
Well, but you
I can
do
only
in
make
the
my own
sense that
decisions,
thinking that
and I want-
homeschooling.
I want the liberty. I want the liberty to use this strategy.
But so, would you encourage other people to think the same way as you?
Only by talking to them about my thought process about it.
So you trust yourself to deliver your message in a non-biased way enough for them to make a fair assessment of their family.
I think I'm going to share my experiences, what I did with it. Okay, where even I think my blind spots are. Okay, and then let people do whatever they want with that. It's not up to me to proselytize my way of doing things onto other people.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's just like if we're voting, right? Would we want to say on the ballot? It's like every kid goes to school versus every parent can take their kid out of school. That's all I'm putting on the ballot is those two options.
Okay, and on the every parent can take their kid out of school if they want to.
Right, but that's why I ask you if you think that system will lead to better outcomes, and you can't seem to say that it will, but you believe in it so strongly that you want to do it.
Fair enough. Good question. Okay, I think in the long term. Okay, here's what I see. We have a system that's kind of static. Okay, it's slow moving. All right, it's not adapting with the times. Okay, because you can't move machines like that, large complex bureaucracies like that. Okay, to move as fast as what's going on in the world. Right, you have a lot of resources to kind of move around and coordinate. It's a big ship to steer. Okay, and I think it's not nimble enough to. Or the system now is not nimble enough to adapt to the times that are changing and and out of its own tradition. Also, when it's public, there's no pressure. There's not as many pressures. I'm not saying public or private is better than public here. I'm just saying I think one of the limitations of when you publicly fund stuff like this, there's no elimination pressure to get rid of strategies that are unfit, okay, to the environment now. It's kind of always even bad strategies will tend to survive because it's like, okay, funded. I mean, to a certain extent. So in that way, I think there's a limitation to large institutional education like that. And the option to have, I guess, more nimble strategies emerge, okay, is necessary to the survival of education. Okay, to have that kind of more liberal experimentation subgroup is better long term for education as a whole if you think about it over time. Okay.
So you're saying that it does lead to better outcomes for people to pull their kids from school.
Over the longer term, I think it's a better strategy for better outcomes.
So on the ballot, you would say, let people pull their kids from school and don't forcibly send kids to school. Don't say that we should send kids to school.
don't say that we should send kids to school. Okay, hold on.
We
I think for the way
we shouldn't send kids to school. We could say it that way to make it simpler.
For the way our society is built right now, okay, I could not think of a better system. Okay, I think the system we have is not great, but I can't really think of a better one that you could implement right now. Okay, I don't even know what that would look like. I just don't
understand how you.
How do you deal with the diversity? How do you deal with the diversity out there? Okay.
The problem that I have with what you're saying is that you admit to me that you don't think that homeschooling, by and large, you can't guarantee that it leads to better outcomes for the students who are pulled from the education system. Mm-hmm. So that would suggest to me that we have more reason to say that there are good outcomes of kids going through the education system. So why would you prescribe or say that you would put on the ballot a system that you can't say leads to good outcomes?
Because the way it would probably be structured here, just given the option, we have the option here, and what's it settled into? Most people go to in the institutional schools. Okay, you have your kind of like, you know, infrastructure that I guess does the job sort of, right, and it's got problems, but I don't think it has the capacity to evolve into a system that will actually serve the population the way it needs to be solved. And for that, you need smaller, more nimble experimentation going on in your system, so that ideas that are outside of this more fixed system can be tested, okay, in the wild, all right, and see what survives, what happens, and then be incorporated. I mean, I don't see any other reason for school to innovate in a way that's not artificial.
That's not artificial. What do you mean by artificial?
I mean the product of human ingenuity, the product of human planning. Okay, of our kind of limited scoped idea of what's good and what's bad.
Our limited scope of what's good and what's bad. Okay, I think at this point I would need to look into myself, like whether or not there are better outcomes for homeschooled kids. I think you might want to do that too, because it sounds like you didn't look into it. It's just like a gut feeling. But just so that you know what you're recommending to people, because if you agree that people probably don't have the ability to assess whether or not this will lead to better outcomes for their kids, then I don't think that it's a good idea to recommend by proxy, based on like your experience, that this is something that works.
No, that this is something that works. Okay, there's only one way I can prove that it works. Okay, and that's raising happy, healthy children.
Right.
All right.
I think people don't have the ability to know whether their kids are happy and healthy in that way.
Well, you know what? Happy and healthy is something they've been struggling with, and it seems like school's been like a massive part of that. For me, and it's like, if me just talking about my experience and why I make the decisions in my life and how I see the fucking forces at play, all right, is some kind of like act of like trying to entice people to bad education.
It's not even in trying to entice people. Someone could come into your chat, hear that you're homeschooling your kid for these reasons, and be like, I was thinking of doing the same thing. Maybe I will now. And this is some random person, and we're admitting that most people probably don't have the ability to like assess the situation for their family. Then like, why should we tell this person that like by proxy suggest that may be something that'll work for them?
So I mean, why can't I talk about my life?
No, of course you can, but like, so
that's all
maybe we say like, I don't think that's like, if you believe that this doesn't necessarily lead to good outcomes for people, maybe say, I don't think this is a good idea for everybody to do.
I mean, I think I say that. I'm fairly certain I say that. I don't think it's good for everybody to do. All right, but I'm doing it, and here are my reasons. You know.
But you also think it's better than mandating schools or like making education mandated.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just look. It's somewhat mandated here. I don't know if you consider this mandate. You're supposed to follow a curriculum and this and that and the other thing. But the truth is, nobody does that. Okay, it's not really well enforced. Okay, so people are kind of free to just do their things. I think we're doing a good job. Okay, he's very advanced with like the letters and the math and stuff like that. I do karate with him. We do stories, mythology, stuff like that, right? And unfortunately, you might not like this, but I am kind of, raising him to live in a commune-like organization. Okay, so
Oh,
that
you're doing the opposite. You're taking them out to make them a communist as opposed to keeping them in to make them a communist.
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Not communist, communalist. Let's say
Fair
that.
enough.
I don't
Okay.
want
What's the distinction?
Well, I
Just
mean,
the
like,
branding?
I guess so, because like I want to say communist because yeah, I say communalist because the idea of a commune, maybe that's not for me, but I do like mutual relationships. I do like networks of people who pool their resources together to have mutually beneficial outcomes. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Making that a solution to all problems in life, I don't think is the right way to do it, much like the homeschooling. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what
But
you're talking about is how like independent schools have like arisen, right? It was just a group of people who were like, hey, we have the resources, let's like figure out like a good situation for our kids. So like
basically,
that's the thing for me. It's like I trust that this can lead to good outcomes, obviously, but since I don't believe most people have the ability to assess that for their family and to provide the resources necessary to give that to their kids,
mhm.
I think that it would lead to better outcomes for more kids to go through the educational system than to be homeschooled.
For the society as a whole, probably. I don't think our lives or the way the way most people are structured, okay, we just couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle it if most people went to homeschool, especially anybody who. Anyways, I don't think people are geared up to do this. It would be like
Yeah.
a weird collapse thing of the educational system if everyone did it. But luckily, we have public institutions, and most people take that fucking option. You know.
Yeah.
So and good, they decided, you know what, for the life I want to lead, how I want to teach my kid to live and stuff like that in the society, this seems like the best option. Yeah, school sucks, but everybody goes to school. School sucks for me too, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
And it's just but to make it forbidden to not do that would not be something I'm behind, because it's not for my kids and I love them more than anything. All right, and I wouldn't want that choice or liberty taken away from me. And I
Fair enough.
promise you, I will do my best to find a better way to educate neurodivergent kids. Okay, I swear to you all, I will at least give it my best try, and I'm putting the most important thing in my life on the line to prove myself right. So
I think both of us genuinely want the best outcomes for people.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. It's just this is my I guess this is my thinking for my more libertarian approach on that one.
Sure. I think personally, I need more of an understanding of how homeschooling goes down, and I need to understand a bit more of like what the outcomes are. But yeah, as it stands now, in the way that I'm understanding it, and the way that I like know that it's been like abused in the past, I just get dubious about whether or not I would prescribe that method for people, or like say that it would lead to good outcomes overall.
I rather enjoy the outcome so far. They're very short term, so you never know.
Sure, we only live once. Just fucking roll the dice. Let's go.
Yeah, basically. No, it's true. You only live once. I don't get another chance. I don't get another chance with any of the kids, and that's it. I have one that just turned 18. Okay, college anyways, going to Cégep. That doesn't mean anything to you, but yeah, very hardworking, but just like performance anxiety, she becomes terrible, right? And we're working on it. But
can you tell me more about this communalism?
Yeah. What do you want to know? Okay, so essentially, look.
Give me the rundown. Like, let's say I'm like, I wanna send my kid to this homeschool group. Give me the elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch. Okay.
How do you do this? Yeah.
Right. How does it get done? All right. There are groups of homeschooled families They coordinate, I think, mostly through Facebook. I'd have to ask my wife. But yeah, and that's it. They do social time. They share some resources. My wife does the grammar, arithmetic kind of education. Takes them out to help, makes them do things in the house, okay, to learn skills. What else? I teach them karate.
Sorry, I had to show somebody in chat that I was not in a real set really quickly.
Okay.
Say hi to Book Smarts really quick. he was wondering if this is a real set or not.
Oh yeah, you want to see not a real set? Look at this.
Yeah, let me see what's going on over here in this shit. Dang. Okay.
Yeah, it's a piece of plywood. It's a piece of plywood.
You breaking the illusion is more hardcore than me doing it for my chat, because I'm just sitting in this big room over here. Yours is like, oh my god. Makes sense. You're in the fucking garage, like.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my bad. I cut you off though.
That's fine. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh right, the communalism.
Yeah.
The communalism. Yeah. Okay. What else? Communalism. Look, basically, you have a bunch of people. You know a lot of the relationships with them. Okay, because they're your close friends, your family, just people you have like a lot of interactions with, right? And so you kind of you know them, and you know what some common problems are. Okay, and if you can trust each other, if you can find a way to establish trust between each other on that level, then find common solutions to your common problems. Okay, and pool your resources together. Okay, and make it happen. And it's like, you can do this for one thing. I don't know what your life is like, what anybody's life is like, but I'm sure if you but it's basically leave yourself open to these networking opportunities, right, with people that you care about. I know some of them might not be trustworthy. It happens to everybody. Okay, you got to navigate that, but it's like there must be some common problems that maybe someone has can come up with a common solution. And then if someone, I would just encourage people to try stuff. I know people have lives to try stuff. Thanks a lot. I have problems. I'm going to try stuff, but if you can try stuff,
Yeah, I wish we had this approach more in general.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know the situation you're in, but like where I'm at, I am in a situation where people are not very neighborly. Like, I have been in the building that I'm in for 3 years, and I don't know my neighbors. I don't feel like I could, if I really was in a desperate situation, like, I don't know whose door I would knock on. You know, and like, I'm in a city like far removed from anybody who I have emotional or sentimental connection with.
Right. That disconnection with people is something that's messed up. I think it's something that I've kind of built my life around getting away from. I want to feel deeply connected with a network of humans, and you know what, someone made a good, I don't remember if it was a passing joke, but they said poor housing policy in Russia led to tight-knit communities where everybody knew each other, right? Because it was so like overly packed and dense, right? That you'd walk down the street and you'd see two people like fucking or something because there's no other space to do it. Like, everyone was very familiar with each other, right? But because of that, when the USSR fell, okay, these communities that all kind of knew each other and knew what was out with everybody were able to kind of hold together and make things work because they had those intimate bonds, those many intimate bonds between each other, right? And so that's it. So
I think today, like, I'm almost like afraid to form intimacy with people because I like have an inherent mistrust that like they're gonna go away eventually, like at some point, and for whatever reason, maybe it's like mutual and we're like, all right, whatever, or maybe it's spatial and like I can no longer have contact with them, or like they can no longer play the same role in my life, so I have to distance myself. But I always feel like it's just futile to form those connections, just to more prepare my expectations for disappointment.
Right. Yeah, you must have put. I imagine at one point you put a lot of energy into maybe several relationships, and then it's like, it's like, fuck.
That's it.
Where are they? I put all this thing in because I wanted partnership or companionship or just someone to share certain struggles with or whatever, and I put all this energy. I really believed in it, and then it's like, oh well, I have my own life. See
Yeah.
you later. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's uh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just I
Yeah.
have my guard up a lot, right? And
Right.
I think there's a lot that I wish that I could have based on formulating those connections.
Mhm.
But also, not only am I just like in the city where I don't know anybody, I don't have like a
Mhm.
car, I don't like have a lot of money or anything.
Mhm.
So it's just like it would almost take too much to start up those kinds of things. And like
What if
turning online was a large that was a large push in turning online, because I was
Okay.
like, I can find like minds, I can find people to
Right.
have good conversations with and like
Are
fill up
you
that social gap.
are you an introvert? Are you like socially like nervous or anxious?
I can be extroverted,
Mhm.
but I prefer being inside my own head.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think when I prefer not having to draw. I prefer to not have to have a ceiling in the relationship, like a cap in the relationship. Like I want to be able to like express myself however I want, and like I want that person to be able to express themselves however they want within like the limits of
Mhm.
that relationship and like its capacity, right? Like, so I feel like it's a lot of times I have my guard up with people, but I like to drop it really quick, and people just like show me that I can't really do that too much based on the way that they react.
Oh, okay. Okay. Right. So you let the veil down,
Yeah,
and whatever it is about you, or whatever it is that's kind of something that you uniquely usually keep to yourself, because
yeah,
whatever. And then people say, and then you feel like people when they receive that, they're like, I don't know how I feel about this,
basically, or they'll put their guard further up, right? And it's just
right.
like, why did I even bother type of thing. Like I'll give
Mm,
somebody my honest take, I'll give somebody my honest feeling. Like for example, if I'm in a situation like I'm taking an Uber somewhere, right?
okay.
And that Uber asked me like, hey, Heem's in my chat, say hello to Heem, Monty.
What's going on, Heem?
Let's say I take an Uber with somebody,
All
right?
your mods are in here to shit on me, Heem. Good job. Good job assembling this team of crack motherfuckers. All right, sorry.
No, you're all good. I got a VIP Heem too. I tried to VIP everybody who I know in the community beforehand.
Yeah.
VIP'd you, Monty.
Oh, thank you.
Anyways, so if I get an Uber, right, and they ask me how my day is, and I say good, I'm lying to that person. Not because my day is bad, but because
Mhm.
I have like, I'm not explaining myself, right? For them to be like, oh, good, good, that doesn't mean anything for them. So for me to like really answer that question would
Mhm.
be like, oh man, I'm just, chilling today. I've been like, just going with like the flow. Like to give them more detail in terms of how I'm doing would be like the more meaningful answer. And I
Mhm.
like to farm those interactions. And like when people ask me my opinion about shit, I like to give them my genuine,
Yeah.
but it just feels like people have like betrayed that trust that I implicitly bestow in them by the way that they react to those things.
Right. Yeah, right. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Oh,
I
I
have
don't
a
need
I
advice.
no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give advice. I don't want to give advice on it. I just again, I guess want to give my perspective on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, how do you put this? The superficial interactions, right, that you have with people. You're a stranger. You don't care how the fuck I am. Asking me how my day is. Fuck you. You know. I don't engage in this. You don't even have to answer. You don't have to interact with those people. However, or as far as I'm concerned, right? Um, and if you know what, if someone asks you how your day is, you can tell them I'm feeling terrible, but you can get me to the thing on time. You know.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
Like that's what I try to do. I try to like give them as close to honesty as I can with
Right.
whatever question is asked.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You asked exactly, but how can I put this? Um, I guess there's opportunities for relationships, even nascent nascent, small relationships, okay, around you. Okay, you know that if there's people, there's opportunities, right?
I agree. I just feel like as soon as I start having to play into people's inability to like meet me where I'm at and like go back and forth with me, then I'm like wasting my time.
Aren't wasting your time? Like, what's the purpose? Does the relationship have a purpose for you?
Yeah,
like, what is your expectation?
I have one life, so I want to get the most meaningful experience I can out of that life. Anytime I feel like I'm not getting the most meaningful experience out of a moment, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Okay. And that meaningfulness is determined by whatever feels like at that moment it would be the most fulfilling and meaningful.
I think there's something about the way you describe it that I feel is like missing out on a lot of opportunity. And
yeah, because I've like given up on like trying with people in a way, right? Like I've given up on like fostering those initial moments that it takes to get over that hump.
Because you feel it's like an energy sink, and I guess that's it. I guess that's what's okay. That's what I guess I'll disagree with this approach for me. Okay, is that you've given up shit. I lost the thread. I'm so sorry. I lost the thread. Hold on. I'll get back into it. Hold on. You're saying, okay, you've given up on putting energy into these relationships because, yeah, at the end of the day, you feel like it's going to be wasted energy.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, and then I give you kind of myself here, and then for you, it's like some kind of commodity to trade off with some other opportunity,
right? Because they like need to build up trust with you and rapport with you before they can like totally feel like giving up themselves. Yeah, but for me, I'm more willing to do that part up front and get to and like cut to the chase.
Right.
But people aren't willing to do that. It's like a game.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's a game, but I get, okay, you're impatient for their, you're impatient. I used to feel this way. I used to feel this way. Exactly. Like, why can't we just, I'm a nice person. Okay. And I want to have a very friendly relationship with no fucking ulterior motives or bullshit. Can we just get to that part? Because we have to song and dance and tickle each other's balls for 2 years or whatever. Right. So yeah, I used to feel this way, but it seems like a better and faster way to build relationships is to not be so pressing to chase after it. It's actually kind of weird, but when you let go of that expectation and you just enjoy the micro relationship that you're having right now, it takes you in places that you might not expect, and you end up building good relationships that way. And you just have to make sure that the energy that you put into it is beneficial to you personally.
That's the thing, because like remaining optimistic about how things will go is tough. In the Twitch space, actually, that's been, my mind has been changed about that because of how things have gone. As soon as people are like learning who I am, like everyone's open to talk, everyone's like down to meet, everyone wants to have serious, meaningful discussion. Like,
not everybody, but yeah.
Okay, but the people in like the Twitch politics space are like,
as a general rule,
even if they're bad faith, even if they're they want to have like that discussion. So like that is one area where this is a bit different, but in real life, it's like I am very pessimistic as to the outcome of things, because like online I have a filter, right? People who are coming to my channel, or like people who are finding my stuff, know what kind of content they're going to get, or like what kind of like personality they're going to get, all of that stuff, what sense of humor they're going to get. In real life, those filters aren't there. There's no algorithm garnering like the types of reaction or fostering the types of reactions that I have in the real world. So like whether or not somebody's going to jive with my sense of humor, or like my politics, or just my overall way of being, it's way more few and far between.
Well, that's something to think about. It's 10:42.
Okay.
I have to hard stop at 11. It's nothing. You got your own life. I come out here to smoke my joint because well, we can talk for another 10 minutes. I just want to say my goodbyes and all that stuff, right? But first of all, thank you for chatting with me.
Absolutely, dude.
This was nice little contentious, maybe.
Yeah.
Back and forth, but I enjoyed it. And
thanks for your honesty.
Oh well, I'm nothing if not honest. Anyways,
yeah, I would agree with that.
Is this the expectation that your chat gave of me?
No. Sorry, it's just that no. It's refreshing when I ask somebody a question that has like some sort of logical sense to me and some sort of like it has like a rationale behind it that I think follows like a line of questioning we're pursuing. Mm-hmm. It's nice to hear you, number one, treating the argument as like valid up front and like as though it has some kind of weight up front, and then two, giving your genuine take and biting bullets is necessary, or admitting that there might be hypocrisy is necessary. Like those things are not very common, I don't think.
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. I had something to ask you. I gotta write these things down. My ADHD is fucking horrible.
A lot of my chat is saying you're a great dad and teacher, by the way.
Oh, maybe.
So that's
maybe.
The overall opinion right now.
Remains to be seen. Come see me in how old is it? It's come see me in 10 years.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if he's not murder suicided the family in Minecraft. Then I think maybe we're okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. I had something else to ask you, but I guess it'll be for another time.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks for chatting.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah. See you later.
Yep.